Okay, guys, good evening. So we shall start now. It's 6:10. Okay, guys. So now, everyone, good evening. I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, now let us again Azure Data Factory. Bharat, just you are writing up here. Azure Data Factory. Okay, guys. Just a Okay, good evening, everyone. So let us start with this data. Okay, Azure Data Factory. Now, guys, let us brush it up once before we move further, because today we are going to start with the practicals, okay, and as well as the technical part of this data factory. So I want everyone to okay, recollect all the things we have discussed in the last 2 days. So just let us make a fast refresh on this, and then we'll move further. Okay. So now, guys, the data factory that is called as the Azure Data Factory. What is Azure Data Factory? Guys, Azure Data Factory is what? A service. It is a service, guys. It is a service provided by Microsoft to perform the job of what is that? ETL. That stands for what? Yes, extraction, transformation, and what is that? Loading.
Loading.
Okay. So now, guys, so the ETL basically, which stands for extraction, transformation, and loading. Extraction, transformation, and the next one is the loading. Guys, the extraction, transformation, and what is that? We have the loading. So whereas this process, what is this process? This is a process which is used to perform the summarization on the data, which is used to perform the summarization on the data, and it requires the following. What is it, guys? Source. It requires what is that? Source, and the next one it requires what? Target. Guys, target. So target is nothing but what? Destination. Target is also called as what? Destination. That is nothing but uh, uh, destination. Okay. So destination, this is nothing but the destination. That is the target. Whereas source is nothing but what, guys? Source is the actual source of data. Am I right? Source
starting point of data.
Yes, a starting point of the process. Source of data. So that means a place from where we get the data. So guys, from where we get the data, guys? Data means what? Always assume it as a big data only, guys. Data means what? Big data, you can assume it here. Okay. Big data, source of big data, you can say. Source of big data. So guys, what are the sources of big data? We can get data from what? Social networking sites. Okay. Social networking sites. I'm writing in shortcut. Social NS means social networking sites. Then we have, what is it, guys? What are the other source of getting the data? Human generated data. GD generated data, human generated data. Then what is another source of getting the data? We have it machine generated data, guys. We have, what is it? Machine generated data. I'm writing the shortcuts. Okay. So because already yesterday we have discussed it, and we can also get the data from what? Tell me now. Banking applications. We can get the data from what is that? Banking applications, banking apps. Okay. These are all the sources of getting the data. So from these sources, the data is packed into what, guys? Tell me now. In the form of files. Yes, am I right, everyone? Else in the form of what is that? Tell me now, guys. In the form of what?
Databases.
Very good. So in the form of what? Databases. So in the form of files, databases, or even when you go to the banking applications or this one, we can also what's live streaming.
Live streaming data.
Yeah, live streaming data. Live streaming data. That's it, guys. Live streaming data. So from these sources, the data is packed into the files, etc. And what further we do is, as a data engineer, guys, as a Azure data engineer, you will get this data into this ADF, that is nothing but Azure Data Factory. And as you wanted to use the data factory, guys, data factory, as you wanted to use the data factory, Azure is a product name now, data factory, as you wanted to use the data factory, this files data or database data or live streaming data needed to be stored into what is that? Needed to be stored into this Azure. So for that we use what is that? Azure storages. That is called as Azure storages. So further, with the data stored into the Azure storages, and then the data is picked up by the ADF and performs the job of what is that? Tell me now, guys. E, T, and then L. Ultimately, once the ETL is done, guys, what happens? Finally, guys, finally the data will be loaded. Am I right, guys? Finally, the data will be loaded. So can you see here? In this entire process, this is the process we have seen so far. Am I right, everyone? Please, all of you come out, guys. If you have any doubt, I want everyone to reply. Please.
Sir, what will be the output from this loaded data? Are we getting reports or something from that?
Obviously, further processing a report.
Okay.
We prepare the data for generating a report, but we don't generate the reports here. Okay, we don't generate the reports. We prepare the data for generating the reports, but if it is required, you can also generate the reports. That's not the thing. But ADF is not supported for generating of report. For that, we have to use the Synapse, or we have to use the artificial intelligence, or we have to use the that is any visualization technique or visualization service we have to use it. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now this is the thing we have it. So now further, guys, further, yesterday already we have discussed what are the Azure storages. Am I right, everyone? We have discussed already what are the Azure storages. We have discussed what are the Azure storages. Already we have discussed it. What are the Azure storages? Now tell me, what are the Azure storages, guys? Tell me now.
Azure Blob Storage.
Yes, the first one is what you have it? Azure Blob Storage. Yeah.
Azure Data Lake Generation 1.
Yeah. That is nothing but ADLS Gen 2 in shortcut. ADLS, guys, Gen 1 means Gen 1. Gen 1 means what? Generation 1. That means Azure Data Lake. The full name of what? Azure, guys, Azure, guys, Data Lake, Azure Data Lake. What is that? ADLS, Azure Data Lake. What is that? Azure Data Lake Gen 1. That is the generation 1. Okay. The next one, what is it? We have it? Azure, guys, Azure Data Lake
Gen 2.
Very good. Gen 2. Now, guys, the Gen 1 is going to retire in 2024. Hence, it is not in use. The Azure is not allowing. To make out the things. Sorry. Sorry, guys. So now the Azure is not allowing to. That is nothing but create the Azure. That is nothing but the data lake Gen 1s. But you can create the Gen 2, and slowly whatever the data you already have in the Gen 1, it is allowing to migrate. What it is happening? It is migrating to the Gen 2. So apart from the ADLS Gen 2, what are the other sources we have? Where do we store the data? Tell me now. Yes, guys.
Azure Synapse Analytics.
Yes, Synapse. You can say Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, then we have what is that? Azure Synapse Analytics. And then we have what is it? Azure
SQL
SQL, yeah, Azure SQL DB. Yes, Azure SQL DB. Then we have, anyways, we have many more. So how many storages we have? Altogether the Azure provides. Okay, what is that? How many storages? 90 plus storages. Am I right? 90 plus storages. It provides almost all 90 plus storages. It provides. Okay, guys. So these are all the storages in Azure we can have it. So yesterday already we have discussed and I showed you. Now guys, I'll just we'll start up once again and I'll show you. So I think all of you is able to see the screen. If not, I'm resharing it once again. All of you.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me, please.
sir, generally there are 4 different types of storage, right? Like the file, blob, queue, and table, right?
Uh, those are uh, within the within the blob storages you have it, or within the data like Gen2, the type of uh, data you want to store it. Either you can store it in the form of file shares, queues, and you can store the data in the form of a containers, etc. Those are the next step we have it. I will explain you that. Okay.
Okay.
Now, guys, just open this. I'm just opening the tab here. Now, guys, this is the already this is nothing but the Azure portal.azure.com. Okay, so here we have it already. So now, guys, let us start with this. So how many do you want to see the storages? Once again, I'll show you the storages now. Just have a look on the storages, whatever we have it. See here, all the storages we have it. Can you see these are all the storages? Database is one type of storages. Okay, and okay, containers is the another type of storages we have it. Okay, so various storages you have it. These are all the storages, so you can just make out all these are the storages. So it supports almost all 90 plus storages it supports. Okay, so that's it, guys. So now, guys, today we'll start with the this is called as the Azure, not the ADF. Today we'll start with the ADF, guys. Okay, so ADF. Now, guys, so for to understand this ADF, so first of all we'll discuss what is it components in ADF. Components in Azure Data Factory. Components in what? Azure Data Factory. Guys, components in what? Azure Data Factory. Components in what? Azure Data Factory. So now, guys, without these components, we cannot use a data factory. Getting my point? What is the Azure Data Factory? So already it is a service provided by Microsoft to perform the job of what? ETL. You know already this. Okay. So now, guys, let us discuss the components of ADF. That means we are going to start today the ADF. What is exactly the ADF is and what are the components we have it. Okay, guys, just a minute. Okay, guys, so now let us start with this Azure Data Factory components. The following are the components. Yes, guys, the following are the components required in ADF or required. The following are the components used. Yes, guys, Bharat, just check. Can you see the following are the components required? The following are the components. The following are the components available in ADF, that is Azure Data Factory. Okay, the following are the components available in Azure Data Factory. So, guys, the list out the same. First, foremost important component is called as pipeline. Okay, the next one you have, guys, linked service. Linked service. And the third component you have as data sets. And the fourth component, guys, the fourth component is called as what is that? Mapping data flows. Mapping data flows. And the fifth component, we have it as what? Triggers. Okay, then the sixth component we have it as what? IRs, which is called as what? Integration runtime.
Runtime.
It is called as integration runtime, IRs. And the seventh component is the activities. These are the 7 components we have. So without these 7 components, guys, we cannot move in ADF. So it is mandatorily, guys, it is mandatorily required. It is mandatorily required. It is mandatorily required in ADF. That is the following are the components. The following are the components available in ADF. And without this, we cannot design anything, or we cannot perform the job of ETL. That is called as extraction, transformation, and loading. Now, guys, first of all, let us discuss what is a pipeline. Okay. Now, guys, the pipeline is responsible. The pipeline is responsible for flow of data from source to the target. That means the pipeline is responsible for flow of data from the source to the target. Okay, guys. So now let us see an example on this. Guys, what do you understand by the word called pipeline? If I'm using the word called pipeline, what is the first thing which can come into your mind? Tell me. Yeah, guys, I want everyone to reply. What do you mean by a pipeline? Okay, guys. Yeah. Tell me, Lavanya, you want to say?
It's a kind of series of tasks.
Okay.
Connectivity between two sources, right?
Relative answer. Yeah, relative answer. Bit relative, not exactly relative. Okay, leave it. Okay, guys, leave it. I will explain. Now
it is to carry the information.
Yes, good. Now, okay. Anyways, I'll explain you with an example. Now, guys, we all are staying in some apartments or independent house. Am I right or not? Everyone. That means nothing but we have some, the place of residing, because we all stay in the city. So hence we stay either in an independent house or else in an apartment. Am I right, everyone? Whereas when you stay in an apartment, so you will have wash areas. Everyone, we have wash areas within our house only. Am I right? That is within our apartment only, within our flat itself. Am I right, guys? Now my question is that you go to the kitchen, you have a wash area and you have tap there. Open this tap. You'll get the water or not? Tell me, guys. You'll get the water or not? Guys, I want an answer now.
Yes.
Please. We get the water. Am I right? We get the water. But how it's getting the water? How that tap which is there in the kitchen is getting the water? Huh?
Some connections from the tank.
Exactly. That means as the tap is connected to the overhead tank from where the water is supplied. Am I right? The water is supplied from the overhead tank, and that to that particular overhead tank, your tap is connected. How it is connected? Tell me now. How it is connected, guys?
Pipes.
Exactly. Very good. With a pipeline. Am I right or not? So can we say that? The pipeline is responsible for flow of data from the overhead tank to your tap? Am I right or not, everyone? This statement is true or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So now, can you see here? We can say that the pipeline is responsible. The pipeline is responsible for flow of water from the overhead tank to your wash area or to your tap. So this statement is true. That means the water is carried out in what? In a pipeline from one end to the another end. What is the first end, guys? The starting point is the overhead tank and the ending point is what? Your tap. Am I right, guys? Am I right, everyone?
Yes.
So can we say that source source is your overhead tank and the target as a tab. Can you say this?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, we can.
In fact, whereas both are connected with what?
Pipeline.
Pipe.
Exactly, both are connected the same way. In the same way here also, guys, the pipeline is nothing but here you will have a source, guys. Here you have source, and the source is connected to the target by using what is that? A pipeline. And what does the pipeline does? Tell me now. The pipeline carries the data. Here the pipeline carries the data. And in our example, the pipeline carries the water, na? The pipeline carries the water, but here in this example, the pipeline carries the data. The pipeline carries what is that? The data. Pipeline carries the data from what is that? Source or the target. Am I right, guys? From the source or the target. From the source to the target. The pipeline here, which is also called as data pipeline. It is also called as what? Guys, data pipeline. This data pipeline is responsible to carry the data from the source to the target. So we can say that the data transfer or the data carrying is done with the help of the pipeline. If you don't have a pipeline, can we carry the data from the source to the target, guys? Tell me now. Huh? We cannot. So we must and should have a pipeline. So we can say that this pipeline is responsible, guys. This pipeline is responsible for carrying of the data. This pipeline is responsible for carrying of the data from the source to the target. Hence it is called as what? Data pipeline. It is called as what? Data pipeline. Am I right, everyone? Yes, the next point. Guys, what is the next component you have? Everyone is following or not? Please tell me, guys.
Yes, sir.
This is very
Yes.
important. Without this, you cannot do anything in ADF. You must and should understand this. Now, guys, the next one, what is it? You have it? Linked service. You have what is it, guys? Linked service. So now, guys, linked service. Now tell me, all of you, let us go back to our same example. Now, the overhead tank is connected to your to your tap, which is there in your wash area. Okay, which is there in your wash area of kitchen. It is connected through a pipeline. Now, guys, tell me how your tab is connected to the pipeline. It is directly connected or some link is required there.
Some links.
Link
Yeah,
is
some link. Yeah, some link will be there. A type of a thread object will be there where you will fix it to the pipe. There is a tab, and that you will fix it to the pipeline. Am I right or not?
Yes.
So we can say that that link is creating the relationship between your tap and the pipeline. Am I right or not?
Yes.
In the same way here also, guys, the pipeline, can you see here? The pipeline does not relate directly to the source here. So to connect the pipeline with the source, we require a service that we use it as what? Linked service. That is called as what? Linked service. So from the source to the target, we require one linked service, and from the pipeline, that is from the pipeline to again what is the target? That is target for what? Another linked service. So every time we require two linked services. One link service to relate the source with the pipeline, another link service to relate the target with the pipeline. Am I right, guys? So here, without the link service, we cannot design a pipeline. So first of all, before you go ahead and design a pipeline, we must and should create the linked service. We must and should create a service called what, guys? Linked service. Okay. We must and should create a service called what? Linked service. So we can say that linked service creates the connection between the source and the target. Creates the connection between the source and the target. It creates the connection between the source and the target. So here, tell me now, guys, what is pipeline? Pipeline is responsible for carrying the data from the source to the target. Am I right, guys, everyone? Whereas the source and target are connected to each other with a pipeline by using the service called what? Linked service. Am I right, guys, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, I want a reply from every one of you guys, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one, we have a data set. So now, guys, what do you mean data sets? At this point of time, what I will tell you is data sets are nothing but guys is nothing but a table. Generally, generally, generally a table means what? What do you call it as a table? Tell me now. A table is a collection of what? Rows and columns.
Rows and columns.
Exactly, rows and columns. A table is a collection of what? Rows and columns. A table is the collection of rows and columns. A table is the collection of rows and columns. Whereas here, guys, whereas a table is the connection. Can you see here? A table is the collection of rows and columns. In the same way, this table in ADF is called as what? Data sets. And these data sets are the collection of what? Observations and variables. Observations and what is that? Variables. Yes, variables. Observations and what? Variables. Where observations are nothing but what, guys? Tell me now. Observations are nothing but these observations are called as what? Observations are called as what? Rows. And now, guys, and the variables are called as what? Tell me now. Columns.
Columns.
Yes, exactly. The variables are called as columns. So now, variables are called as columns. So now, guys, this is the collection of observations and variables. That is the rows and columns. So in the same way, here we call it as what? A data set. Here we call it as what? A data set. So guys, here we call it as a data set. So now, within the pipeline, guys, within the pipeline, the data is ultimately recorded in the form of a data set. In the form of what is that? Data set. So we can say within the pipeline, you can store the data in the form of what? Data sets. Now tell me, for each situation, how many data sets you require it? Obviously, one you require as a source data set and one you require as a target data set. As it is there, nothing else, no changes. You require for every situation of a pipeline, you require two. What is that? Source data set and target data set. Source table and target table. Am I right, everyone?
Yes.
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 Sir, what about in case of different sources? Like since it's ETL tool, it will take the data from different sources, right?
Yeah, every source, suppose you have a you are using the SQL database. Suppose you have 100 tables are there. How many tables? 100 tables are there into the SQL database. So how many data sets do we need to create it here? 100 data sets do we need to create. Getting my point? So if you have multiple sources, for multiple sources, we can pick up the respective. For each type of data, we must and should create a data set. That is mandatory. Okay? That's it. So now, guys, these are the three important things we want. What is that? The first is the pipeline, second one is the link service, and the third one is the data set. Now, guys, mapping data flows means what? Ultimately, these are nothing but transformations. These are called as what? Transformations. So, guys, transformations are nothing but what? Tell me now. Transformations are nothing but what? Ultimately, whenever you wanted to perform the job of, can you see here? ETL. What is that? ETL. Now, guys, what do you mean by E? E stands for extraction. No? T stands for what? Transformation. Where T is the actual process of data summarization, whereas the T is nothing but here in the T we will perform the mapping data flows. That means transformation.
Transformation.
Data flows. The data flows are nothing but called as transformations. The data flows are nothing but called as what? Transformations. The data flows are called as what, guys? Transformations. It is called as what? Transformations. That's it, guys. Yes, everyone. The transformation is called as what? Data sets. Sorry, data flows. The transformations are called as what? Data flows. That is called as what? Mapping data flows. Mapping data flows. The full name of this is called as what? Mapping data flows, which is nothing but called as data flows. What are the various transformations? That means, can you see here? You wanted to perform some aggregation. That is nothing but you want to perform some mean, median, standard deviation. So at that time, we use the transformation called what? AGGR. It's called aggregator transformation. It's called as what? Aggregator transformation. It is called as what, guys? Aggregator transformation. Clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now transformations is the actual process of data summarization. The T stands for transformation, but generally we call it as a transformation in other thing. But here in Azure Data Factory, we call it as what? Data flows. That is called as what? Mapping data flows. Clear, all of you? Now the fifth one, very important one. What is it? You have triggers. Guys, suppose you wanted to wake up tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. What you will do? Tell me now.
Set the alarm.
Yes, you will set an alarm. Nowadays, where do you set the alarms nowadays?
Mobile phones.
Exactly.
Mobile.
Now, so to ring the alarm, do we need to wake up and at that time and that is, allow the mobile to ring it manually, or is this automated process? Till you know.
Is automated process.
That means once you set an alarm, guys, once you set an alarm, automatically it is a process of automation, where automatically whenever in your mobile phone you have a 5 o'clock, automatically the alarm will start ringing. Am I right or not?
Yes, schedule.
That is called as what? Schedule. That is
Okay.
called as what? Scheduling the alarms. In the same way, when you want to run this pipeline does what? Extraction, transformation, and loading. Now, the pipeline performs the job of what, guys? ETL. Na? E, T, and L. So when you want to run this pipeline to perform the job, to load the data from the source to the target, we require to run this. That means to kickstart a pipeline. To kickstart a pipeline, we require what is that, guys? Triggers. We require what is that? Triggers. So now, guys, triggers are those which automatically starts a pipeline or kickstarts a pipeline on a given date, given time, or a given event. Getting my point? Given date, given time, or a given event. Okay, so hence we call it as what? Triggers is the concept of kickstart the pipeline automatedly. And now basically we have three type of triggers. First one is, what is that? Time-based trigger. Time-based trigger. And the second one is called as what? Okay, scheduled trigger. Time-based trigger is also what is it? You have it. Okay, sorry. Scheduled trigger. The first one is scheduled trigger. Scheduled trigger. Okay. Then we have, what is that? Clock-based trigger. Clock-based trigger. Okay. Or we can also say event trigger. Event trigger. And the third one is called as a tumbling window trigger. Tumbling window trigger. So guys, how many type of triggers you have it? We have basically three type of triggers. The first one is, what is it? You have it? Scheduled trigger, and the second one is the clock based trigger, or which we also call it as event based trigger, and tumbling window trigger. Scheduled trigger means what, guys? Tell me now. It is scheduled to run at 5 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. So it is called as a scheduled trigger. Am I right? Yes, guys.
Yes, sir.
It is scheduled to run. It is scheduled to run at 5 a.m. in the morning. That is only tomorrow 5 a.m. because already it is 7 p.m. If you give it as a 7, that is 5 p.m. That is 5 a.m. means tomorrow morning it is scheduled to run. Now, clock based or event based trigger means what? On every 31st of every month. On 31st of every month, this trigger should run. So tell me now, in a year, how many times does it runs? Tell me now.
12 times.
31st every month comes, huh? My question is that I want to
8
run.
times.
Yeah?
8 times.
So January, February, March, April, May, June, July. 1, 2, 3, 4. August, September, October, November, December.
7 times, sir.
Yes.
7
2,
times.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 times. So now tell me. Okay, now guys tell me. So as you have 31, I wanted to run this on every 31st of every month. So this trigger will run. This trigger will run how many times here? 7 times in a year. Am I right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what is the event here? The event is the 31st. If it is end of the month, means what? Every month it will run. Am I right, guys? But I want to run this on 31st of every month. So as every month it does not have the 31st, so hence it will run 7 times in a year. This is called as an event-based trigger. It is called as what, guys? Yes, event-based trigger. On a particular event, this will run. And scheduled trigger means what? It will run at 5 a.m. That's it. 5 a.m. means 5 a.m. it will run. That's it. Scheduled one. Okay. And this concept called tumbling window trigger, we will discuss it when we get once we get into the subject, because this is a bit different process, which I cannot explain it to you right now. Tumbling window. So this is also a type of trigger we have it. Okay. Some windows is created and then we apply. Okay. Some concept is this, so I don't want to mess up right now. So guys, so we have tumbling window. That's it. So these are the 3 triggers you have it. So these triggers are used to kickstart a pipeline. Kickstart a pipeline. All of you clear now, guys? Yes. The next one. What is the next thing you have it, guys? Tell me now. Integration runtime. Tell me now. Now, guys, can you see here? All of you, just have a look. Here I have a source. All of you, source. And this is the target. Everyone just have a look here. My source is, let us say, Azure. Okay, Azure. Let us say the storage here as a block storage. My source is the Azure block storage, guys, everyone. And my target is, can you see here? My target is, okay, Amazon S3 bucket. Now tell me, guys, the data you're transferring it between clouds or on-premises to cloud? Can you tell me now? Yes, my question is that you're transferring the data between the clouds or beyond the clouds?
Between the clouds.
Exactly. So hence, this type of a transfer is called as what? Cloud to cloud transfer. So whenever you perform the transfer of data between, that is, whenever you perform the job of ETL between the 2 clouds, we require an integration runtime created automatically. That is called as what? Azure IR. We need not disturb anything. Azure IR. So the integration runtimes, generally we have 3 types of integration runtime. Okay. Generally we have 3 types of integration runtime. Suppose now, guys, here I have some file is there. So what is that? I have some file, and this file is on my desktop. This file is on my desktop. Now I wanted to transfer this data from my desktop to, what is that you have it? Azure blob storage. Now tell me, what type of transfer is this? Tell me, guys, what type of transfer is this?
On-premises to
Yes,
cloud.
very good. So it is called as what? On-prem to, what is that, guys? On-prem to cloud. Am I right? On-prem to cloud. So whenever you have on-prem to cloud transfer, at that time, on-prem towards that cloud, we require an integration runtime, IR, called self-hosted IR. We require an IR called, what is that? Self-hosted IR. We require, what is that? Self-hosted IR. We require, what is it, guys? Self-hosted IR. That is self-hosted integration runtime. We have to create it separately, but this is auto-created. You need not create the Azure IR. It is auto-created, but this you have to register it. You have to register it. That is called as what? Self-hosted IR. Whenever the transfer of data is between clouds to what is that? That is on-premises to cloud or cloud to on-premises, whatever it may be. Then we have the SSIS. Now, guys, the third situation is that I have Informatica. Guys, all of you have an idea about Informatica? Informatica is an ETL tool. Informatica is an ETL tool on premises. Am I right, guys? On-prem ETL tool. Now, guys, I have written some code here in Informatica. This code, guys, I have written some code here. I wanted to run this code. I wanted to run this code into the cloud environment. What is a cloud environment? Azure cloud. I want to run this. Okay, Azure cloud, or you can say Azure blob storage. I wanted to run this and create it as it is. So in such case, we require to run an IR that is called as what? SSIS. SSIS is used to run the patches. That's already, if at all you have some code here. So the code patch, whenever you wanted to run on the cloud environment, we require to use an IR called, what is that? SSIS IR. We require to use an IR called, what is it, guys? SSIS IR. Clear all of you though? Sorry, just a minute. So guys, clear all of you now?
Sir.
Yeah. So these are the three integration runtimes. Make sure, now don't get confused, guys. Make sure whenever you have cloud to on-premises or on-premises to cloud, use the self-hosted IR. Getting my point? And whenever there is a cloud to cloud transfer, you need not worry about the IR. Automatically it takes care. Whenever you have on-premises to cloud, then only you have to use the self-hosted IR. And this SSIS, if at all this transformation is written in some other language and you want to run it into the cloud environment, then we use the patch called what? SSIS patch to run it. Anyways, you don't get confused on this IR concept. So IR concept will be clarified to you once we start the implementation of the pipeline. Don't worry about this. Okay, guys? So simply, as of now, you can say that cloud to cloud transfer, Azure IR. Cloud to on-premises transfer, use SSIS IR. That's it. Two things you remember it. That's it. Okay. Next, after this, so how many things we have done already? See, guys, all the 6 components we have done it. Okay. Pipeline, linked service, mapping data flows, triggers, and integration runtime. And the 7th one, what is it? You have it, guys? Activities. What do you mean by activities, guys? Activities are nothing but these are called as what? Actions. Actions wanted to perform. Actions wanted to perform on data. The actions you wanted to perform on the data is called as what? Activities. Activities are those which are used to perform the action on the data, which is used to perform the action on the data. Suppose, guys, here we have it. Can you see all of you? I have it here. I wanted to transfer, can you see here? I wanted to transfer here some data from Azure Blob Storage to Amazon S3 bucket. Okay, I wanted to transfer it here. That is copy the data. So whether, tell me now, whether it is copy or move. It should be move or copy. So tell me now, guys, what is the difference between move and copy? Tell me now. What is the difference between move and copy? You must be having that option even in your mobile phone also nowadays. Tell me now, what do you mean difference?
Completely move.
Huh? Move means what?
The file is completely moved to other place.
So just like a copy paste as well as cutting this one and later pasting it. That's the difference.
That is nothing but if at all we use the move option, that means the completely file will be moved from one place to another without remaining or without retaining a copy. Am I right, guys?
Yes,
and
sir.
if you see controls, that is, if at all use the copy, that wherever you're copying, that will be there. But one more copy is created. Am I right or not?
Yeah, duplicate copy of your file.
Yeah, so that is called as what? Actions. Those are called as what? Actions. So what type of actions you wanted to perform on the data? That is copy the data from the source to the target, or do what? That is called as what? Activities. That comes under what, guys? Activities. And what are the arithmetic operations you wanted to perform on the data? That will be done by what? Mapping data flows. Arithmetic operations or any kind of that is transformation techniques you want to apply on the data, that is done by what? Mapping data flows. And simply simply guys, simply whenever you want to copy the data from the source to the target at that time, or copy the data or whatever the action, that is called as what? Action. So in broad, we can say that action you wanted to perform on the data, action you wanted to perform on the data is called as what? Activities. Is called as what? Activities. Now guys, I will just design the thing here and you should tell me all the things. Now guys, source is here and target is here. Okay guys, all of you, target is here. Now tell me, in the source I have some file called employees. Okay, and let us assume this is the Azure one. In Azure only you have it. A file with a name called employees is there in Azure. Now this file you have to copy it from the source. This is your source and target. Tell me now, to copy this file or to create a copy, we require an activity. What is that activity we require? Tell me now guys. We require an activity called copies activity.
Copy.
Right? Yes. Now we copy the data from the source to what is that guys? Target.
Target.
Very good. So now source to the target, you perform the copy. But copy is an activity which is done within what is that? Pipeline. Am I right or not? The copy is the activity which is done inside a pipeline. Inside a pipeline. Whereas to relate the pipeline with the source, we require what is it guys here? Linked
service.
Now, once can you see it copying? Once the copying is done from here to here, so the copied data will be stored in what is it? Data sets. Am I right or not? It will be stored in what guys? Data sets. That is called as what? The collection of rows and columns. So now see here. Now see here guys, all of you. Now see here. These are the activities. So first activity is what? Pipeline. Second activity is linked service. Third activity is a data sets. That is, and the fourth one is what is it? You have it? Activities. That's it. Done now. Now what are the things left out here? Triggers is there.
Triggers
data flows and integration runtime. 3. Mapping means what? Guys, I want the employees' net salaries, net amount which is used by the company or spending, the company is spending how much amount as a net amount towards paying the salary of the employees. So we have to sum the sal. We have to sum the sal, isn't it or not? To perform that particular operation called sum operation, we use the data flows. We use what is that? Data flow. And we apply the data flow on what? We apply this data flow ultimately on the data set. Am I right or not? Because data set is a place where data is stored. Am I right? So hence we apply the data flow within a data set or on a data set. That is called as what? Data flow. Then we have got guys integration runtime. So guys, if at all you have Azure to, can you see here? Azure to Azure copy. You're transferring the data from one Azure environment to other same Azure environment. Then we require an IR called what? Azure IR.
Azure IR.
If suppose you have, can you see here? Suppose the same employees file is stored in my desktop. Now you have to transfer it, the data you have to transfer it to the cloud. That is called as what? Azure blob storage. Now tell me guys, as you wanted to, yeah, tell me now, we have to use what is that? Self-hosted IR.
Self-hosted IR.
Self-hosted IR. Self-hosted IR. Anyways, SSIS IR, you don't worry about this. Okay, I'll explain you that when time comes. That's not, anyways, right now not so important. Self-hosted IR. That's it, guys. Okay. Next one, what is it? You have it. Tell me now. Triggers. So when you wanted to run this particular pipeline, if you run the pipeline, then only the entire copying will be done. Am I right or not, guys? Yes. If you run the pipeline, then only the data will be copied or all the things will be done. Am I right? So hence, that is called as, that is pipeline is executed or compiled by an activity, by an action called, what is that? Triggers. By an action called, what is that, guys? Trigger. So triggers executes the data pipelines. Triggers executes the data pipelines. That's it. Okay. So we have three type of triggers: schedule trigger, clock based trigger, and the next one, what is it? Tumbling window.
Tumbling window.
Yeah. Anyways, you need not worry about these triggers. Triggers, as of now, you remember that simply to automatically run a pipeline, we use the triggers. That's it, guys. So these are the 7 activities which is required. These are the 7 activities which is required to move ahead and to work on to this ADF environment. Clear, all of you? So that's it, guys. So it's already 7:01. So now what I will do is we'll stop the class here, and tomorrow we'll start the practicals. I think already we have done with this. So practicals will start up tomorrow morning, guys. Okay. Clear? That's it, guys. Any other questions? If you want, you can ask me. Yes, guys, tell me now. Any questions?
So what is the time for tomorrow class?
Same 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. Right?
Same 6 p.m. Hopefully from Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, we will change the time to 7 o'clock. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, same time. No issues. Okay. Okay, guys, that's it for the day. Okay. So try to by heart, that is nothing but memorize this pipeline, linked to service data sets, mapping data flows, triggers, IR and activities, because these are very, very much important, and it is required for a ADF. Without that, you cannot move. Okay, guys. So that's it. We'll start at 10. Yeah, please.
Sir,
Go
could you please provide the soft copy of Azure?
soft copy of what?
Azure, sir.
Azure soft copy in the sense I didn't know. You mean say material, or you mean to say this particular portal?
Material.
Material. Okay, material will be given to you during the course of time. It will be given on the Google Drive.
Okay.
On the Google Drive, you get it. Okay.
Okay.
Sir.
Now, tell me.
Yes, sir. How many days are already completed? Actually, 2 days I just joined the class after 5 to 10 minutes.
This is the first. We have not started the practicals yet. From tomorrow evening, we'll start the practicals.
Okay.
So only the demo.
Sir, it will also provide this Notepad Plus.
This notepad will be there in the video now. It will be there in the video now. You just keep the
Okay.
recording now. This is on recording, so hence you need not worry.
Okay, so so you will provide the proper notes, right? With including all theory, right?
Yes, obviously. See what happens is here, whatever the things we are discussing in the class now, those all things will be recorded, and those recordings will be given to you. That's it. So you can have that recording directly. Recordings you can have it. That's not a problem. And apart from this, material will be given to you. Okay. Material will be the separate thing that will be given to you. And apart from this, anything else? That's it, guys. Okay, then. Thank you all of you for attending. Just we'll make it tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.